What a night of football we just witnessed, and not just any game, but one that will be remembered for a long time by Spurs fans and one that will sting deep for Manchester City. The Etihad Stadium was the battleground. The reigning champions Manchester City were expected to dominate, yet Tottenham Hotspur walked away with a shocking and emotional 2-0 victory. This wasn't just about 3 points, this was about belief, resilience, passion, and the beauty of football where the underdog can silence the giants. From the very first whistle, you could sense that this wasn't going to be just another ordinary game. City started the match with their usual confidence, dominating possession, pushing high up the field, and showing their trademark passing game under Pep Guardiola. The Etihad was buzzing, expecting goals, expecting another City masterclass. But football is never predictable, and Tottenham came prepared with a game plan that wasn't about fear, it was about courage, discipline, and taking their chances when the moment came. The first half was a tense affair. City pressed hard with Haaland looking hungry, Kevin De Bruyne trying to pull strings, and Phil Foden attempting to unlock the Spurs defense with his sharp dribbles. But Spurs, under the leadership of their manager and driven by determination, kept their shape brilliantly. Cristian Romero stood like a warrior in defense, cutting out dangerous through balls, while goalkeeper Guglielmo Vicario looked commanding every time City tried to test him. You could see frustration building in the City players as every move they tried seemed to hit a wall of white shirts. Tottenham were not just defending, though. They were waiting for that one moment where they could break forward and deliver the punch that could change the story of the night. And then came the moment. Against the run of play, Tottenham found themselves breaking forward in the 28th minute. A beautiful counterattack, swift, sharp, and devastating. The ball was worked to Dejan Kulusevski on the right. He cut inside, spotted the run of Heung-Min's Son, and slipped the ball through. Son, cool as ice, slotted it past Ederson, silencing the Etihad and sending the Spurs fans into absolute ecstasy. One chance, one goal. The beauty of football encapsulated in that moment. Manchester City, the team of endless possession, had been undone by the simplicity and clinical finishing of Tottenham. The goal gave Spurs belief, it gave them energy. They began to grow into the game, no longer just passengers to City's possession, but warriors believing they could actually shock the champions. City, on the other hand, suddenly looked rattled. They pushed harder, but with every attack came more desperation. De Bruyne tried his long-range efforts, Haaland threw himself into duels, but the Spurs defense stayed tight, resilient, and completely focused. The second half kicked off with City knowing they needed to come back. The fans roared louder, urging their heroes to find a way, but it just wasn't their night. Football sometimes feels cruel, and you could feel the tension rise in Guardiola's body language on the touchline. His team were creating chances, but none clear enough to truly test Vicario. And then, in the 67th minute, Tottenham struck again. Another counterattack, another heartbreak for City. This time, it was James Maddison who played a clever pass splitting the City midfield, finding Brennan Johnson on the left wing. Johnson drove forward with pace, delivered a low cross, and there was Son again, poaching and ruthless, tucking the ball into the net for his second of the night. 2-0 Tottenham, and the Etihad fell into stunned silence. What makes football so emotional is not just the goals, but the stories behind them. This was Tottenham, a team often criticized for not showing up in big games, proving the world wrong by beating the champions in their own fortress. You could see the emotion in Son's celebration, the relief, the joy, the pride of leading his team on such a big stage. His teammates rushed to him, their faces full of belief, and the away fans erupted in one of those moments that will live in their memories forever. City continued to fight, throwing men forward, creating waves of attacks, but Spurs played with fire in their eyes. Every block, every tackle, every save felt like a goal in itself. When Vicario saved a close-range header from Haaland, the Spurs players cheered like they had just scored. That's what makes victories like this so special. It's not just about skill, it's about the unity of a team, the togetherness, the grit to survive under pressure, and the hunger to take your moment when it arrives. As the minutes ticked away, the Etihad was filled with disbelief. City, the champions, had been outsmarted, outworked, and outdone. Guardiola looked frustrated, shaking his head as chance after chance slipped away. Tottenham, on the other hand, looked like a team possessed, chasing every ball, pressing when they could, and holding their ground with determination. When the final whistle blew, it wasn't just the sound of the game ending, it was the sound of Spurs making a statement. They had come to the home of the champions, and they had won 2-0. Let's talk about the highlights that stood out beyond the goals. The heroics of Cristian Romero in defense, blocking shot after shot, making sure Haaland never truly got the space he craves. The midfield battle where James Maddison showed his creativity and leadership, proving he can step up in the biggest games. And of course, the brilliance of Son, who once again proved why he is one of the most underrated stars in world football. His movement, his calmness in front of goal, his ability to deliver when it matters most, it was all on display tonight. On the other side, Manchester City will look back at this game with regret. They had possession, they had territory, but they didn't have the cutting edge. Erling Haaland looked isolated at times, Kevin De Bruyne couldn't find his magic pass, and even when they did create chances, they lacked the ruthless finishing that Tottenham showed. Sometimes football is a lesson in humility, and this was one of those nights for City. The emotions of this game go beyond just the scoreline. For Spurs fans, it was a moment of pure joy, proof that their team can rise to the occasion, that they can believe again. For City fans, it was a painful reminder that even the best can be beaten, that no matter how dominant you are, football always has a way of surprising you. And for neutrals, it was a game that showed us why we love this sport so much. The unpredictability, the drama, the underdog story, the emotions of the fans, it all came together in 90 minutes of unforgettable football. The scorecard reads Manchester City 0, Tottenham Hotspur 2. 2 goals for Son Heung-Min, 2 moments of brilliance that changed the story of the night, and 3 points that will feel like 6 for Spurs in their fight to climb higher in the Premier League table. City remain a great team, no doubt, but tonight belonged to Tottenham. Tonight belonged to Son. Tonight belonged to the idea that in football, anything is possible. So as we close this chapter, remember this game not just as another Premier League fixture, but as a story of courage, of belief, and of the magic that keeps us all hooked to this beautiful game. The champions were humbled, the underdogs triumphed, and football once again reminded us that nothing is ever written in stone until the final whistle blows.